The Christian Parapsychologist Journal is 50 years old this year, and as such, we're holding an online anniversary conference for anyone interested in learning more about the interface between Christianity, parapsychology, and the paranormal. And it's going to be held on June the 28th. One of our guest speakers is Dr. Mark Fox, who will be speaking on half a century of NDEs. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
For our viewers, please can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my first book was actually an attempt to produce a theological response to near-death experiences. And that kind of is representative of the sort of research that I've been doing and
Hmm.
was doing before and have been doing since, which is, broadly speaking, research at the interface of theology and philosophy, or a philosophically informed theology on the one hand, and Fortean phenomena on the other. So I think that makes me a pretty good fit for the CFPSS. And I certainly would endorse what you say, Matt, about how there's been reluctance, reticence, fear on the part of Christians to engage with things like near death experiences, because I think this is a tricky interface. This one where we're trying to see how phenomena like near death experiences or ghosts or UFOs might look from a Christian perspective
Mm.
as Christians.
Definitely, yes. I mean, it's one of those subjects that a lot of Christians just don't know enough about, or have been
Absolutely.
told, or even inoculated against even having a sensible, rational discussion about such things. So it's
Yeah.
great to have you on board and have serious, qualified people who can actually expound the scriptures and expound the evidence and look at the two together. So thank you for that. Do you have any other particular research interests as well as near-death experiences that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I've been looking at testimony over the years because when we read testimonies to paranormal, Fortean, anomalous experiences, we can sometimes fool ourselves into thinking that we're looking at the experiences themselves as they occurred. But
Mm.
of course, it's testimony that analysis has to explain. Testimonies are not simply windows, they're more complex than that. So my research has been really consistently exploring testimonies and trying to see what kind of conclusions we can draw from a kind of multidisciplinary approach to them. So I've been looking over the years at testimonies to unusual lights, testimonies to experiences of transcendent love, and latterly I've been looking at UFO testimonies, again from a broadly Christian theological perspective, in order to see how some of those testimonies might look when viewed from that perspective. Now, I'm hardly the first to have done this, but again, as with so many aspects at the interface of Christian theology and Fortean phenomena, you're not completely inundated with research. You're not going where nobody's ever gone, but I do get the sense that I'm going where few people have gone, and certainly where few people have gone. How can I put it properly,
Yeah.
incisively, critically, in a kind of hermeneutically sophisticated way? And this is what I've been trying to do really over the years, and this is what I'm going to be doing at the conference as well.
Mhm. Brilliant. That's amazing. I mean, your mention of UFOs, your feature article on the recent edition of the Christian Parapsychologist, UFOs, Shapeshifting, and a New Old Paradigm,
Yeah.
has been receiving some really good feedback. So, yeah, we're just so pleased that you are able to take this non-knee-jerk, sensible, sophisticated, nuanced approach as opposed to, oh, it's all demons, isn't it, really? Um,
Yeah, I'm really encouraged by that actually, because when I wrote that piece and when it came out, I must admit I did think, how's this going to go down? What's the response to this going to be? Because it is pretty out there,
mm,
and so I'm kind of encouraged that there's been any response, to be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And if that has been positive, or at least if people are interested now within the CFPSS, I think that's a very good thing, because that's where I'm going to be continuing to locate my research as I proceed. It's
Hmm.
an area that interests me a lot, and I think theology might be able to fill in the still enormous gaps that exist in our knowledge of UFOs, UAPs, whatever the initialism, because it is an intriguing area.
Yes, absolutely it is. Yeah. So, NDEs 50 years on. Can you tell
Yes.
us a brief synopsis of what you're going to be talking about and helping us to
Brief
understand
synopsis.
it within a Christian framework? Yes.
Absolutely. So obviously 50 years on, looking at that much research, and there has been a vast amount of research in that time on NDEs, means I'm going to have to be quite selective in what I do. So I'm going to be looking at what we've learned about NDEs in the last 50 years, how the term has morphed and been used in different ways over that time, what accounts of NDEs sound like, how the original definition given 50 years ago by Raymond Moody in his book Life After Life was arrived at.
Hmm.
Crucially, whether any other researchers in the subsequent 50 years have confirmed or disconfirmed Moody's original definition of what a near death experience is. Because he's quite important, given that actually the term near death experience comes from Raymond Moody himself.
Indeed, yes.
I'm also going to be looking at whether or not near death experiences are a truly global phenomenon, what we've learned about that over the last 50 years, whether you actually need to be near death to have a near death experience. That has been a very interesting question, which
Mm,
has arisen over the last 50 years, and I'm going to be exploring some possible answers to that.
cool.
The other thing that might be quite interesting for listeners and viewers will be this whole issue of how accurate the observations are that people make of their surroundings when they're allegedly out of their bodies and looking down during their near death experiences.
Hmm.
Do they get it 100% right? Is it completely wrong? Or perhaps most intriguingly of all, is it a curious mixture of hits and misses? Are they getting some stuff wrong, but
Hmm.
are they getting other stuff spectacularly right?
Yeah.
If they are, and this might be an interesting one for the Q&A, how do we explain this curious combination of hits and misses? And if we get a chance, and again, this might come up in the Q&A,
Hmm.
um, looking at some very recent developments within the field and related fields, for example, that regarding terminal lucidity,
Hmm.
where people very close to death who have had senility or other cognitive debilities for many years suddenly, maybe hours before the end, suddenly become cognitively lucid. That has interested a lot of NDE researchers, Moody still, people like Bruce Grayson. If there's time, I'd just like to explore that a little bit, maybe in the Q&A. And then to end really with some reflections from a Christian perspective on what I think NDEs are and what I think they aren't. Conclusions that I've arrived at over the last 50 years,
That's
more or less.
brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you ever so much. We're really honored to have you as part of the team
Thank
for
you.
the conference and so looking forward to it. It's going to be an amazing conference. And I'm sure many are going to be blessed by the knowledge that you and the other speakers are going to be bringing to us. So thank you again, Mark.